Do it.
Let me begin by thanking everybody for coming to our lecture on voting in Arizona. I'm really impressed by the turnout we have here today, and I want to thank everybody for All right, well, let's continue anyway. So, voting in Arizona it's pretty easy. Basically, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to go make sure you're registered. So go on and head on over to the Pima County Recorder site, and you can enter in some basic information, and it will tell you whether or not you're registered for the primary election and whether or not you're registered to receive an early ballot. Yes, Shar.
So I have no clue whether I'm registered right now or anything, but what I do know is I'm so down with that shirt, man. U of A too, 2003 and 2007. I loved it so much the first time I stayed for law school. It was great, and I really don't have anything relevant to say to like the electoral process, other than I really just want you to tell me how I don't vote for Trump today. Can you do that?
Well, all right. First of all, we're not talking about the general election. This is to get set up to vote in the primary, so you can vote for Joel Feinman for county attorney. And I can walk you through that process. So first things first, once you check to see if you're registered, then what you need to do from there is, if you're not registered, you can head on over to servicearizona.com/voter registration and register. We have a video on how to do that. If it does say you're registered but not signed up for Pebble, then if you want to vote by mail, we'll teach you how to do that today. If you want to just vote at your voting place, though, there's no reason to stick around. You can leave now.
Wait a second. So this Pebble guy, if I go and like hang out with this Pebble guy and sign up with him, you're telling me I could get out of here and go watch Fuller House?
No, that's not exactly what I'm saying. All right, I'm just kidding. You should still sign up and register for the Pebble, which is the permanent early voting list. Even if you don't end up using it, you can still take your ballot in on election day and skip the line. There's no real downside to doing it.
Whoa, man, that slide was created before I even asked the question. You knew that I was going to ask that question? Well, it's like you're in my head or something. Whoa.
So, since you seemed confused earlier, let me explain what Pebble is. Pebble is the permanent early voter list. Basically what it is a way to tell Arizona that you want to receive a vote by mail ballot every single election. Once you are on the permanent early voting list, you will receive an early vote by mail ballot for every election. You never have to request a ballot again, and you can always remove yourself from the permanent early voting list later. So the question then is, how do you get on Pebble? Well, you're going to have to go to the Arizona Recorder's website. Download this form, print it out. It's two-sided, so make sure you print the first page, then the second page on the back side of the first page. Fill it out, attach postage, and mail it in. Yes, Shar.
So, sorry for the interruption again. I hate people who interrupt, and I totally don't want to be that guy. So after I mail it in, does this mean I'm going to have to vote for Trump?
No.
Does this give me the ability to vote for Joel Feinman?
It does give you the ability to vote for Joel Feinman. That it does do.
All right, please keep telling me more.
All right. So the important things to know beyond this are, in order to fill out the Pebble form, you must have your voter ID, which means you have to have your voter registration card handy. You must make sure your Pebble form is submitted by 8/19 if you want to vote for Joel Feinman. And make sure to mail it in a few days early, because it sometimes takes the mail a bit to get there. And also remember these important dates. The primary is on August 30th. Ballots start getting sent out at the beginning of August. August 1st, 2nd, 3rd, around there. Make sure to get your Pebble in before August 30th. Or make sure to get your Pebble in before August 1st if you can, so you actually get the early ballot as soon as possible. And make sure you get your actual ballot in by August 30th. Yes, sure.
So I was watching this movie on TNT the other night. It was called Primary Colors. It was totally about this whole election thing. I think John Travolta was in it. It was so awesome. Kind of like the U of A and like how we're in the College World Series again and ASU hasn't been back in all these years. But we're not going to go there today. Where I'm going with this is, why is the primary date so important? Don't I want to like worry about the general election?
Well, you do want to worry about the general election. The general election is important, especially if you want to make sure that we don't end up with Trump as president. But for purposes of voting for Joel Feynman, this is a primary contest. It's a Democratic primary contest. So you need to make sure everything's submitted ahead of time so that you can vote in the August 30th primary election. Now, if something does go wrong and you don't get your ballot mailed in enough time to be received by August 30th, you can still go down to any polling place. Doesn't have to be your assigned polling place, and submit the ballot by hand. You do have to make sure it's signed and sealed. And if worse comes to worse, you can also, if you lose your ballot, still vote at your designated polling place. It is a provisional ballot, so you will have to make sure not to then send in your early ballot if you later find it. But so long as you do submit your ballot on that day or vote provisionally if you lose your ballot will be counted. Now, if you're a little afraid of commitment and don't want to keep staying on the permanent early voting list, you're always free also just to request a ballot for this election. You can do that through the same Pima County Recorder website. It's a different form. Here, the address is here. And you can fill it out and submit it, or you can just call them. The phone number is also on that link, and they'll tell you how to request an early ballot and set you up for it. Yes, Sean?
All my girlfriends, like my ex-girlfriends, have totally told me I'm afraid of commitment.
Well, I realize that's why I prepared the slide. And also, if you're afraid of commitment, in addition to your girlfriends, afraid of commitment to a political party, there is good news. You can still vote in a primary if you're an independent in Arizona. You can vote in the Democratic primary, and that doesn't mean you have to vote for a Democrat in the general election. It doesn't mean you have to keep voting in the Democratic primary. At any point, you can change what party's primary you want to elect to vote in, so long as you're an independent. And if you want to do that, yes, Charlotte.
So sorry to keep interrupting. This reminds me of the time I was drinking and totally didn't want to see the people I was drinking with the next day, but totally wanted on that night. So you're telling me I could temporarily commit just to vote for Joel Feynman and then I can decommit later?
You can commit, vote for Joel Feynman,